Hello everyone, this is Source Codex, aka Jazz Fusion Guy, and this is another one of my how-to videos about refinishing a cabinet. So, this is what we started out with. We bought this from Restore Habitat from Humanity. Not the most beautiful color, fairly decent condition. That's the side. There's the other side, and that's the rear. You'll notice the cracked wood up at the top left. So, and that's how the top looked. There it is in the process of getting refinished. The knobs have been taken off, and we've got the wood filler there. I had to strap it down to the sawhorses because it was so windy. It was shaking the thing. So I had it strapped down and left there for something to dry, which was that crack up in the top left. So there's an idea of what we
Hello everybody, this how-to video is going to be all about restoring an old cabinet. Now the whole reason we're refinishing this cabinet is we just had a new shower put in the house, and you know how it is. You improve one thing, you look around the room and it's like, oh, that doesn't look good. So now we're going to update our storage system that sits between my wife's sink and my sink on the bathroom counter. So we picked this up at a Restore Habitat for Humanity for $40, which was not bad at all. And it came with, let's take a picture of it over here. Came with these 3 shelves, which are sitting out of the way because we don't need to mess with it right now. So this was the original color, which is, in my opinion, god-awful ugly. And the doors pull knobs were down here, which down here, which I've taken those out because we're going to buy new cabinet hardware and put it up around here. Because once it's sitting on the bathroom cabinet, the bathroom counter, that'll be a good place to have the pull knobs. And we're going to get something pretty fancy. So the first thing you do with old cabinets, you want to clean them, because most likely being in the bathroom, what am I saying? Being in the kitchen, very likely they're going to have a lot of grease. So I went ahead and treated the cabinet twice on the outside with this Zep Fast 505 degreaser. I did a double application, and then it was time to sand it some. So what I did, after these knobs were removed, and I had a couple holes here and here on either side. These cabinets must have been attached to adjacent cabinets. I don't know, but there were holes, 2 holes on each side, and then the 2 holes down here. I filled those up with Minwax wood filler. Comes in a tube. This is great stuff. And then I sanded things down real good. First, I used my orbital sander with a 320 grit, did the sides and the fronts, easy flat areas to get to. And then my wife came out and she sanded the harder to get to areas with 60 grit and 100 grit. She used that to get in to these areas here. And once things looked smooth enough, felt smooth enough, as far as not having a lot of obvious defects, the next thing you do is you want to prime your stuff. So I like this Zinsser 123 primer. Actually, I use that whole can up, doing the top, sides, the doors, and this side. So the next step is going to be taking these doors off, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Ziploc bags. Let me back up. I like to put the same screws, the same hinges in the same place and keep to that same system all the way around. So what I'm going to do, it's pretty easy to know this is a left door and it's going to go on the left side. That's a no-brainer. But as far as taking these hinges off, what I'm going to do is get some snack size Ziploc bags, and I'm going to put this in a Ziploc bag, and I'm going to label it L1 or LT for top, and you get the system: LM, LB, then RT, RM, RB. And once I get the doors off, then I can do, this has already been sanded, but then I'll go to Lowe's and get some more Zinsser, and I'll mask off these areas with a big piece of cardboard, and I'll go ahead and prime all of this, keeping paint from getting on this nice inside. And then I will also take these, once these doors are off, I'll lay them out on these sawhorses here and do more priming on them. We neglected to sand in the inside of where the knobs were, so we'll take care of that and get both of these guys sanded and ready for priming. Once your priming is done, you need to pick a enamel hard coat paint for cabinets. And let me tell you, I went to Lowe's and I looked at 1 quart of a tintable enamel for this. We want to paint these gray with a little touch of blue in it to match the walls. 1 quart of paint, $31. Unbelievable. But that's what you run into. Paint is ungodly expensive. Of course, I will do some shopping around. That was just my first sticker shock at Lowe's. But I bet that the other stores are not going to be that much different. I had a bad spot right here was the wood was chipped out, and I went and piled in a lot of wood filler here. So we'll get that nice and level and sanded down and ready for priming. So that's where we are right now, and we will see the next step later on. Back at it this morning. I went ahead and did some sanding on this, some initial sanding. We'll do some more once the doors are off and the hinges are removed. And like I said, to keep hinges correct on what door and what area on the door. I've got these bags marked off. They'll soon be marked off. So let's do that. Like I was explaining earlier in the video, the whole reason I'm putting particular hinges and all their hardware into separate bags for each separate hinge is I have found out that over the year, what you would think, all things being equal, are not always equal. Something with the hole, something with the wood. So since I know this fits in here nice, and this fits nice, and so forth, I want to put everything back the way it was. Or off. Got them sitting here. I don't know exactly how easy these insets are to come out. If they're not easy to come out, I'm not going to take them out. We'll just do hand painting around them carefully. But for the time being, now I have sanded this area. I'm going to sand this a little bit here. And it's going to be time to run to Lowe's and buy some more of that Zenzer 123 primer. Question that I mentioned earlier in the garage about whether I was going to be able to get these out or whether I was going to have to just paint around them. I didn't know whether these were stamped in, machine-like, and really hard to get out. But I found just a little bit of wiggling back and forth, and these pop right out. So that's nice. And anyway, we can paint, spray paint, not gum this up, so we can put this back in again. So there you have it. And these little bumpers here, they come out as well, and we can do that when we do our painting. Same for here, and same for over here. Okay, that's it for now. Talked about earlier, I've got everything organized in a bag matching the area that it came from. May seem a little bit anal, but it's just the way I want to do things. And I'll repeat this process on the right hand. As I said, done the same thing with the right hand door. The next step we're going to have as far as getting things ready, this is going to maybe get a little bit more of a sanding, especially around here and here perhaps. Most everywhere else has been sanded. Like I talked about yesterday, I forgot to sand the insides where the old knobs were. That's now smooth. And then we will be applying more primer on here. And today we're going to run out and try and find the paint we're going to use and get it tinted to the color. My lovely assistant has come up with a way to spray these areas here on the surface and the little inside here and not get it on the inside of the cabinet. She's stuffed it full of, here is a sliding piece of cardboard that will be a shield for the direct spraying. And it's working out well. Now we went to Sherwin-Williams today to get some high-end cabinet paint. It is called Emerald Urethane Trim Enamel. It's probably the best thing you can get as far as cabinets go. And it was not cheap for a quart, but I'm not going to get into how much it cost. You can discover that for yourself. The cabinet itself has been moved out of the garage to dry. And now this is the back side of the cabinet doors getting their first coat of primer. The two cabinet doors have been primed by my wife today, this afternoon. Second level of priming. They look good. This guy here had a little issue with some running paint, but that has been sanded down nicely, and this cabinet is ready to go as well. Well, I went to Lowe's today and bought some fairing strips that were labeled at the store as 3 inches by 6 feet or 72 inches. And seeing as the back of this cabinet was 30 by 36, that's 1,080 square inches. So I did my math of how many I needed of these, butted up right next to each other after I cut them in half, and it was supposed to cover the whole back. But obviously, you can see it doesn't, and I've had to lay them out with a gap, which I'm going to check with my wife. I think it'll be okay getting these all spaced out like this. But the irritating thing is at Lowe's, if you buy pieces of wood like this, fairing strip style wood, it's going to say on the label 3 inches by 6 feet. It's a lie. These are actually 2.5 inches wide. Therefore, all your math is off if you use the label. I had a tape measure on me at the store. I never even thought to measure them because I'm one of those trusting kind of guys. So anyway, probably we're going to use it with the space like this. I will go ahead and screw these into the back of the cabinet. I'll hit them with the orbital sander to give them sort of a nice edge so you don't see crap like that. And then we'll spray paint it with the primer, and we will be good to go with this cabinet for the final paint. But be forewarned, just like a 2x4 is not a 2x4, fairing strip type wood is not 3x6. It's 2.5 by 6. Thankfully, the linear dimension was spot on, but the width, not. Okay, I have attached these boards, being careful to get sort of a uniform spacing between them. So that looks pretty good. And now I'm going to do a little sanding and take these rough edges off and round them out a little bit. That'll be nice. And I will do the same on this side. Had to remove a screw here because we bought this from Restore Habitats as a used piece of cabinet, and for some reason they had carved this huge hole under here. So when the screw went down, I didn't realize, forgot the hole was there. So I had to do a little shift dance and filling it out with a wood filler. Okay, I went ahead and sanded everything with an orbital sander with a 60 grit. And then for getting these edges, I went ahead and used a 60 grit one of these sanding pads. Now I would suggest for like a situation like this, where the whole edge of the board is raised and rough, there was really no way for me to get in and fix that. And it's really not a big deal. I just tend to be a perfectionist. But it probably would have been smarter for me to sand down these boards before I put them down. But hindsight's 2020. But seeing as this is the back of the cabinet that we're not looking at, it's not really a big deal. But where we're going to use it up in our bathroom, a mirror is going to be behind it. So you will be able to see this back part of it from probably, I'd say from about here up. So it's a good idea to get things looking right. What was inside is kind of ugly looking. So this is going to help. And like I said, I took the hard edges off and got a nice rounded edge. Couldn't do much with that, but frankly I don't really care. So yeah, first coat of primer is on. Put on another coat, and then we're ready for the real paint job. My wife is the best painter in the house. So we're painting the first coat of this paint over top of the primer. One thing she is very, very disciplined about is the amount of paint that she gets on the paintbrush. She doesn't go up high on the brush, she doesn't get it up in the bristles up near the handle, but keeps it at the tip and midway.
In color.
And rather than a big, thick coat on the front, she prefers to do a light initial coat and then come back with the second coat.
I got your stand direction.
So far, this expensive Sherwin-Williams paint, it's covering quite well on the first coat. There's a little bit of streaking down here, but that's typical for a first coat. This is how the primer went on. A little bit rough is what you want for your paint to grab onto. Alright, we'll tune back in when more of this is nice to have when you're working in a garage and painting is an efficient little small heater to get your temperature up. I have talked about this heater before and how it raised the temperature in about an hour and a half, 6 degrees. The other thing that's very helpful is to have a nice bright work light on your project. And I did a review of these lights as well. I'll put links to both the lights and the heater at the end of this video. And here's the primed cabinet doors. They will be painted later on today. Well, we have moved on to painting the inside of the cabinet doors.
You always do the inside first. So when you flip them over,
Oh,
there's,
looks good. Excuse me, go ahead.
so when you flip them over, if there's ever a crease from what it was resting on, it will be on the inside of the door rather than the outside. In the first coat, you always put in the same direction. Second coat, you go in the opposite direction.
A noticeable color difference from the primer, but not that much. All right, we'll tune back in later. Thank you, my lovely assistant. First coat is on and drying. See, there is some streaking because that is the way my wife likes to paint things, in a light application on the first coat. That will be fine with the second coat coming up next. Yeah, just a little bit of streaking there. But overall, pretty good coverage for a first coat. And I wasn't here when she closed this back up, but we got plenty of paint left. Proud of the fact that that's how much paint is left after she put on one coat. Now we are getting the front inside of the cabinet painted with, is this a second coat?
Some of it's second, some of it's first.
Okay.
And then I have
It's
to go back and
looking
do
good.
some sanding. And then a little bit of touch up after the sanding.
Very nice. It does appear that the back of the cabinet has had its first coat put on. And a little streaking here on the cabinet door. So that'll get a touch up. This looks like, with the way the brush strokes are going this way, this is probably a second
My wife
coat.
just did a touch up
On this cabinet door here. Places that hadn't been painted
As well.
as she had hoped. And we went to Restore today and found these really nice cabinet handles or pulls or hardware, whatever you want to call it. But they're really sleek and they will work quite well. For the bottom, I bought 4 of these, which are again cabinet hardware, but they will nestle nicely right here like that, and they will come out just about like that there. And that'll be good support on the bottom. A little bit of thinking outside the box, taking drawer pulls and using them as feet. There'll be one there, and one there, there, and then there. All I have to do is drill holes, find the right screws, and we're good to go. And also, for on the side, we decided to go ahead and get this here to hang whatever you want to hang on it. and that'll be positioned like that on the side. Yeah, I highly recommend if you have a restore in your community to check them out. Second coat is going on, and later on, probably tomorrow, these areas in here that haven't been painted, they will be painted. So this is the paint job late in the day. We'll be putting this to bed, and any other coating or touch-up that needs to be done, like I was talking about earlier, about these areas in here, that'll be for tomorrow.